Hey friends, welcome back to the shop. It is a beautiful day out today and it is perfect time for us to work on getting the WRX back together now that more meets and shows are starting to pop up. Story behind this was last month I actually took a trip out to Nebraska. I love taking the WRX on longer trips simply because of the handling, the smooth ride, the speed of it through the hills. I just really have a good time, so I decided to use that for the 10-hour drive out that way to visit my daughter and granddaughter. Well, about 11 o'clock one night on that trip, it was heading through Illinois. Roads were completely dark, completely empty as far as the interstate was concerned, and I came upon just a nasty, big, dead raccoon in the interstate. I'm traveling about 77 miles per hour, and there was just no way to avoid it. So I went over it and prayed for the best at that point in time. Well, thinking that either I'm going to lose my front end or potentially lose my rear end, one of the two because of the size of it. Instantly, I heard the carnage from it. I'll show the pictures as I'm continuing to tell the story, but I pulled over to the side of the road and used flashlight to look underneath, and the thing was so big that it had actually caught the C-clamp for my ETS exhaust and completely bent it and pulled it off of the exhaust itself. So I had to wrestle to get it off, and then from that point the exhaust was really just hanging down low. I was 30 miles away from the nearest town, so I limped at about 30 miles per hour along the interstate to the first off interstate road. And I think I may have picked the worst road in Illinois at that point because it was just filled with potholes and bumps, and continued to just nurse it to the closest Firestone. Well, that morning, their lift, when they opened up, they have old style lifts, so there was no chance of them getting it underneath the car. So I had to drive it 2 miles to their sister store, a Tires Plus in Molina, Illinois. Those guys, I tell you what, they were fantastic. Whipped me right in. The tech went to work on the exhaust clamp, got it straightened back out and back on the car. And then from that point, I really didn't have much of a choice but to start working on it in the parking lot. They lent me all the tools that I needed to jack the car up, to take off the inner fender linings, and just start pulling the car apart in order for me to figure out what exactly was busted, which a lot more was busted than I initially thought looking at it that night on the interstate. But ended up pulling up the metal on the fender wells. It bent up the diffuser brackets quite a bit. So I had to take the diffuser completely off and just put it inside the car for the rest of the trip. Fortunately, got everything back together and made the rest of the 4-hour journey. And now I've got all the hardware again. I've got new wheel well liners from Subaru, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing put back together today. Follow along.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again.
One thing that's important to us as small YouTube channel creators is to make sure that we call attention to those of our friends that also have channels that support us on a regular basis. So what I'm going to end up making sure that we do in each episode, we'll call out a particular friend and their channel, tell you a little bit about them, and also put the link to their channel in our description box. This episode's focus is going to be on our good friend Marco. Marco's channel is MDSB, and he does everything from vlogging, he does gaming on Twitch, and he also does a really cool thing of drive-through brew reviews for coffee shops up in his area, which is the Northeast. So go check his channel out. He's got some cool stories, cool commentary that he walks through with either guests or just by himself. So definitely someone to check out. He'll also be in kind and go and check out your channel. So MDSB, thanks Marco, appreciate your support. So the first thing that we're going to need to end up doing, or I'm going to be the one that needs to do this, is I got to replace these wheel well liners. These were pretty chewed up. This one's not as bad, but it did end up losing a part of the piece where the clip actually goes in. So I went ahead and bought new ones from Subaru. I think they were like 20 bucks a piece. So why not make sure that everything is on there the way that it's supposed to be. I could definitely tell without them, the rear bumper had a little more flex than usual. So they play a good part of keeping everything together. So I'm gonna go ahead and jack up the rear end, get the wheels off, and then get busy on replacing these out. All right. Why are you? Let's go to a different one. I don't like how that one felt. All right, so not every job goes the way that we planned. This was going to be an easy job today. Unfortunately, I have a stripped lug. So I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this or not, but the inside of my lug nut itself is pretty stripped. And it took some work to actually get it off the lug itself. So what I'm going to have to do at this point is wrap it up for today. And I'm going to have to get a new lug from Subaru and replace it. Now I've got friends that have broken 1, 2, 3 of these when they're replacing wheels. I've been very fortunate in the 5 years of owning this that I have not. So I'm very thankful that it at least has gone to now. I don't know what caused it when I put it back on. I don't know whether it was caused because of the accident and when we torqued it down at the shop to the proper torque specs, it was already done. But nevertheless, to be continued for this episode. Thanks, everybody. See you guys soon.